It was, as they say, a bitterly cold winter night. And they were in bed together. And this time they were sober enough to talk to each other. Usually they stumbled home, drunk as lobotomized ducks, tore off each other's clothes till there was a small mound of multicolored fabric next to the bed. Then they'd make love till one of them passed out. This seldom disturbed or discouraged the other. At times they failed to notice. But tonight was different. She was wide awake, he was reading, the bed was like a boat, bobbing warmly on winter seas, and she said, "Will you tell me a story?" I said, "Nah." "Come on," she said. "You used to tell me stories all the time." He said, "Well, that was different," he said. "I was trying to get you into bed." And she said, "If you want to keep me here, you better come up with one fast." He thought for a moment. "Okay," he said. "Once upon a time, I was on this bus going from coast to coast for $99 for Christmas in the East. And this girl got on in Seattle. She was sitting in front of me, and I could see the back of her head. It was the back of the bus. And she had lots of red hair and blue eyes and freckles. And she was so pretty, she made my teeth ache. She was an artist, and she was sitting with these huge other guys. I don't know who they were. They were real mean looking. And they only had one thing on their minds. And she was being real liberal and nice and friendly, and by the time we hit the mountains of Idaho at 2 in the morning, after the magnums of champagne and boxes of banquet chicken and endless reefers, the black guys started to get ugly and horny and started in molesting the lady artist, and I stood up and... "Yeah, I know that one," she said. "Then you saved her from the barbarians, and you sat with her, and by Toledo, and you were necking with her." "I still don't believe it." "I know that story. Come on, tell me a good story." "Okay," he said, "once upon a time I was a night orderly on the graveyard shift for the Burger King of Geriatrics, and that night we were shorthanded as usual, and I was breaking in this new guy who looked like a cross between Dirty Harry and Peter and the Wolf. And I told him to go down the other end of the hallway and work his way up with a night nurse. And I was strapping this crazy old man into bed for the night. I heard this scream from up the hallway near the nurse's station. And there is this patient we call Willard, because he only had one tooth and looked like a big rat standing barefoot in a pool of his own blood, with his catheter in one hand all yanked out, with the ball still inflated. In the other hand, he was holding his... "No," she said, "that's gross. I don't want to hear about that. That's a gruesome story. Tell me something else. I've heard you harp on that place before. You're a regular saint. Come on. Tell me a good story." "Okay," he said. "Once upon a time, I lived in this 2-story wooden walk-up fire trap that was most certainly condemned down on the waterfront. My roommate and I used to pay $50 a month to the guy downstairs who ran a vacuum cleaner shop next to the porno bookstore. But then he disappeared along with his vacuums, and we didn't know who to pay, so we forgot about it. We lived there for free. Our apartment upstairs was the size of an empty aircraft hangar. As a rule, all the planes were out, so the place was just so much empty space. It echoed when you talked. There was this one big picture window, the size of the wall, that overlooked the bay, the islands in the distance, the factory that made toilet paper at 4 in the morning, the railroad yards, and the parking lot of this place called the Blue Dolphin. There wasn't any heat in the place, and it was November, but we had space heaters in our rooms. And when the sun would come into our living room every afternoon and set, when there was sun in the window, and kind of warm the place up, we'd sit there like stunned flies, get stoned, listen to, watch the bums walk up and down the street and the sidewalk on their way to the mission. But the best part was the hallway steps and the stairs, leading up to the apartment. Some old acid head or nut or something some time ago had the notion to rip up this popular songbook and take the sheet music page by page and staple each sheet at weird angles along the staircase on the peeling plaster. There were some great songs, like Autumn Leaves, Honey, To Serve With Love, Wipeout, Whipped Cream, Sidewalks in New York, Java, Lazy Day, Please Love Me Forever, I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, Cotton Candy, Walk, Don't Run, Never on a Sunday, Stranger on These Shores, I've Been to Town, Wayfaring Stranger, Left My Heart in San Francisco, Harper Valley PTA, Turn Around, Look at Me, Alfie, Something Stupid, Where Have All the Flowers Gone, City of New Orleans, September Song, Like a Rolling Stone, It was the best staircase in the world. Some of the sheets had fallen off the wall and littered the steps. And every day as I came home from work or whatever, I climbed the musical staircase, and I would take each step and turn my head and hum or sing a few bars of whatever song was on eye level. This went on for a few months, and then one day I was lying in bed about 2 in the afternoon, and my door flies open, and there was this well-heeled real estate lady with some big Indian in a leather-fringed purple jacket, and she wanted to know what we were doing there, and I said, singing and freezing most of the time. But then the jig was up, and we had to. She was half asleep, mumbling into the pillow, "Nah, come on. Tell me a good story, a good story." Her voice trailed off. "Good story," I whispered. "Okay, but you're not going to hear it, or believe it, or remember it, or like it." Once upon a time in the not-so-distant future, you won't love me anymore, and you'll wonder what it is you ever saw in us. You'll sneak into town some night in the future and fuck a local joker behind my back. You'll run out of me and go back to your mother, and you'll tell all your friends what a loser I was and what a mistake we were. And you'll love someone else, just like you loved me. And you'll tell funny stories about my foolishness or your foolishness for ever putting up with it all. And you'll never believe how cruel it'll get. And you'll have to have an abortion because you don't want to have the baby. And you'll forget all about this. And you'll grow older. And I'll grow older. And time will pass. And you will wonder what it is that I wonder when I think all about this. And you will wonder. And I will wonder. And we'll wonder how this moment ever existed in time. And you'll see a face in a newspaper, and it'll remind you of something. And I'll see this woman on a soap opera, and I'll turn the channel. But the face, the touch, the memory of what we did in each other's souls will never, ever completely go away, no matter whose arms we try to hide in. I turned to her, and she was snoring softly, her hair like a root beer halo spread over a pillow like it carpeted down. She snuggled deeper and mumbled something, and I kissed her cheek and put out the light. The bedroom was warm, peaceful and quiet. The street light came in the window with a shaft, a soft, still light that sat in the room like a ghost. And I fell asleep watching that light until in my dreams I was curled up in a ball on the floor in the palm of the ghost hand. And I heard a voice say, "Tell me a story. Tell me a good story."